Activity 13.9 is putting it all together. We are going to use some secondary data, and we're going to use some test scores of Ms. Cruz's English class. That's in the morning and then in the afternoon. What we want to know is which class did better statistically. We're going to do it by analyzing a graph. And then we are going to look at some calculations and use those calculations to decide which class did better. And we're going to make arguments for the morning class and for the afternoon class. So look at the test scores over here and then ask a statistical question about the data. If you're not sure if you have a good statistical question, you can always use AI to check. Step 2, remember there's 5 steps in problem solving. So, 5 steps in statistical problem solving. Step 2, to use the secondary data because we already have it given. Step 3 is we're going to choose an appropriate graph to represent both sets of the data on the same axis. So that means you can pick a graph, but you cannot pick, for example, a circle graph because you cannot do that on the same axis. You could do a box and whisker plot, a double stem and leaf plot, a double histogram, bar graph. If you do a dot plot, the way I've seen that done is that you draw your axis, and then the morning class would have dots above it, and the afternoon class would have dots below it. So dot plot's always a possibility. A line graph could be done. Just trying to think back. A frequency table could do double frequency table. Any of those. I think I did a stem and leaf plot before, but you get to choose what graph. So step 4 is we're going to actually calculate the mean, mode, median, range, interquartile range, any outliers, and the mean absolute deviation for each of the classes. So this is quite a bit of work. There's not a lot of space. You might need an extra piece of paper to do that. So fill those out. Analyzing the data. Now, this is important because you want to make sure that you want to choose from the mean, mode, median, range, outliers, or MAP. Those are the only ones you get to choose from to make a statistical argument that the morning class did better. Choose from the same ones and make a statistical argument that the afternoon class did better. And then would you look at the center of the data? So where data is centered is your mean, mode, and median. Or the spread of the data. That's going to be your range, your interquartile range, outliers, and your MAD value. And use that as an argument for which class did better. So you need a strong argument that's backed up with data, with numbers from your table up here. But you can choose for number 3. For number 1, just make sure that, remember we said something about the smaller your MAD value, the more centered your data is around the mean, the higher your MAD value, the more spread out it is. So you have to interpret that right now because these are test scores. And would you rather have like a higher average? Would you, and you are including all data, by the way, even the outliers. So this is really putting it all together. You want to think about which class did better based on the statistics. You can also kind of look at your graph, but when you're answering these questions in step 5, make sure you use the analysis from step 4.